Okay, we're back in session. I was advised by the finance director that perhaps there's a clarification on that number, Julie?
Yes, on the 250 that I mentioned to you, that was the old amount. I'm sorry, the new amount for an application is $1,250, quite a bit higher.
Does that change anyone's
1,250 now.
1250 versus 250,
Versus
which I was not
250 for
aware
the
of. I was not aware of the
application
250, to be honest. But
It says you mean we have to spend $1,250 now?
The $1,250 is the application fee. I mistakenly told you $250 earlier in the meeting, and I'll be sending that in the first week in July with the application.
unless we vote on the 20th to not do anything. And we
Yeah,
already
by the
spent
20 yeah, by the
400
20th.
some thousand dollars here.
Yeah.
So do you want to re-vote on that, or move ahead knowing that it's $1,250? Okay, hearing none, then I guess we'll just begin with old business again. Okay, first item of old business, since we can move to something not controversial, is whether or not to approve the carrying of concealed weapons and display of firearms ordinance. Ira?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and members of the public. I'm just going to go through a very brief thing to say what's changed since April. We rolled this out in April. We talked about a lot of different things, and there was a lot of public feedback from the April meeting. And among the big things with the public feedback were not wanting, if you had a concealed carry permit, wanting to be able to park in the parking deck, walk through to go to Main Street. That would now be allowed. So there are some significant changes from the version that was out. Again, I would say we're presently dealing with an ordinance that's over 20 years old that is a complete ban. So this is actually a loosening of restrictions, not a taking away. Anything you do is a loosening of restrictions over what's on the books now. And I know that a lot of people have viewed it in the other light. That is simply not accurate. The purpose, this upset a lot of people with the prior purpose. So the purpose is to allow, compared to the old ordinance or the ordinance that is presently on the books, more rights for concealed carry on county grounds. That would be the main thing that I would point out. Several statutory references. The legalities were checked. You know, I know that Mr. Killian spent a lot of time reviewing this. He said this is 6 iterations and looking over all of the different legal aspects of this and review of the law. The primary purpose is so that permitted concealed carry holders may carry their concealed weapons on county grounds. And that's the main change. The other thing is there are exceptions noted down below for open carry. And we'll get to those, and those were not in the prior. So there's some significant changes over the version that was out in April. The new carrying concealed weapons in county buildings, it doesn't say property, it doesn't say grounds, it says buildings. So right in the title, you will see a huge difference over both what's on the books now and in what the prior version was. It should be unlawful for any person to carry a concealed weapon in county-owned and controlled buildings. And it mentions the legal regulations beyond that. Then when you get to the open carry, we've added exceptions for certain things. Concealed carry holders may carry at the fairgrounds and in the buildings at the fairgrounds. The provisions of the ordinance prohibiting open carry shall not apply at the Haywood County Fairgrounds during days and times at any gun show, trade show, flea market at which guns are sold. And due to the unique nature of activities at the fairgrounds, the advisory board may adopt a policy for exceptions that goes beyond that. So concealed carry is now legal at the fairgrounds, and if they want something beyond that, they can ask and make further exceptions and open carry out there. At the mark, people would ask, can they dump their trash off with the concealed carry? Yes. If you don't have a concealed carry gun, you can do what you can always do, which is, or at the material recovery facility, the MRF, you can leave it in your motor vehicle, which is what the law says now. Nothing shall prohibit. I had one person come up to me and say they were a sworn law officer, not from a different jurisdiction that works sometimes within Haywood County. Put an exception in there to make sure it's clear that sworn law officers can carry their weapons. Then you have historical reenactment, parade, and other cultural ceremonies that may happen at the place. That way, ROTC, folk moot, and other persons when they're not loaded. And you have authority not to allow concealed carry holders to carry in the buildings that are leased. That would be with the lessees. And then it would be effective, that was the last date on the effect, so it's been changed significantly.
Any comments or questions?
I think this is what we talked about, earlier comments during this meeting as far as where it's prohibited, so.
How many counties allow concealed carry on their grounds, Ira? I think in my research, is there about 10 maybe?
I don't know the exact number that allow it on the grounds.
I think in my research, it was maybe up to 10 allowed, and the rest of them do not allow concealed carry at all on county grounds, so.
So this is very different, but one of the big questions we got was the parking deck to the street.
Right.
In Allen's Creek, people wanted concealed carry at Allen's Creek, so sure. Those were the two actually areas that were mentioned to me more than once. We got a lot of chain emails from people outside the county, and we got a lot of chain emails from people inside the county, but when people were looking like, I need to be able to go, have a concealed carry, I need to be able to park in the parking deck, that was one thing we took care of.
Are there any counties that allow open carry that you know of?
Off the top of my head, not sure on that. There may be counties that allow open carry on a county grounds, but I'm not aware of any.
Any other questions or comments? And hearing none, then would entertain a motion that the carrying concealed weapons and displaying of firearms ordinance be approved as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the second item of new business is to consider approval of the county grounds use ordinance. Ira?
I'll be picking it just one moment to load this, Mr. Chairman. I will. There were a few changes to the grounds use ordinance that I'm just going to discuss. One was an exception, a broader exception again to allow, because of the unique nature of the fairgrounds, for them to make exceptions. An additional change is due to the unique nature of Allen's Creek, that if the Parks and Rec wanted to make some exceptions not inconsistent with the spirit of this, they could. The general policy to conduct government business, make the grounds available, open for use, and subject to the terms of the ordinance and the Haywood County facility use policy. And again, due to the unique nature of activities on county-owned property leased for the fairgrounds, the board authorizes the county manager to consult with the Fairgrounds Advisory Board and develop a policy for the appropriate use of that grounds. They allow camping, for example, at times in RVs out there, and they have some other things that just wouldn't make sense with this ordinance. And the unique nature of the Allen's Creek approve exceptions based on recommendations to the Recreation Advisory Board. I will comment, though I didn't prepare a slide in it, on the, somebody had gotten up and spoken about the dangerous weapons section. That's almost a mirror of the general statute that is cited in it. I know that Chip and I had both looked at that a lot. So if you would actually check the statute on carrying dangerous weapons, you would find that there's a lot of very similar language and similar listings. One of the big changes is we added a section on unmanned aircraft systems. And it was pretty extensive, and there's a local consultant licensed through the FAA to fly, who I talked with at length about what would be needed and what would be reasonable, and we also researched some other jurisdictions and looked at the FAA rules before enacting this. And the simplest thing is to say that the FAA rules are in a state of fluctuation, so that we have to basically follow them, but also your ordinance says that follow the FAA rules and the authorizations. People also who are operating over county buildings would have to file the notice to airmen, which is a regulation that of the FAA, if you're going to be in certain spaces anyway, because you wouldn't want somebody up there with a drone and have, for example, a flight for the hospital coming through and them not know about the notice to airmen. The operator must obey all the FAA regulations and policies, as well as federal regulations regarding the use of an unmanned aircraft system, and maintain control of the unmanned aircraft system. They can't use it to stalk, threaten, or harass any person on county grounds. They can't attempt to view, photograph, digitally record images through the windows of any buildings by means of an unmanned aircraft system. Someone couldn't fly a drone up and try and see what's going on, for example, through the windows of social services or through these windows. If you don't have the appropriate certifications to fly, you can't fly over our buildings, grounds, or near the sidewalks, with one main exception, or a couple of main exceptions. That would be Allen's Creek and the green spaces. And if you're going to fly there, you want to make sure that the space is not reserved or in use for another reason. It occurs under the supervision of a responsible adult who's going to be responsible for incidents. They keep the system within visual line of sight at all times, and they have to yield Allen's Creek to any other use. Those were the main changes to your grounds use ordinance as a whole. And as Mr. Killian said, this has gone through multiple revisions.
One comment that was made, it may have been during the break, about being able to display a sign, holding a sign. Is that addressed in here? I couldn't find it.
Holding a sign and carrying a sign is not going to be a problem. Putting it in the ground or
Right.
attaching it to our property is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I saw that, the stakes in the ground attached to any tree or monument or whatever. But do we need to say that nothing in this ordinance prohibits a person holding a sign?
Be happy to add that to the ordinance. We can be happy to add that down to the bottom section, which
I think where it says any sign, placard, flag, this is on page 3 of this ordinance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down. It says any sign, placard, flag, or other display which is posted, displayed, or placed. I think if we just took out displayed, which if it's posted, that's putting it on something, and or placed, that's putting it in the ground or on the ground. But displayed to me means you're carrying it. If you just strike the word displayed, in other words, any sign, placard, flag, or other display which is posted or placed on the grounds, instead of saying displayed, I think that would take care of it.
How about vehicle? Parked, I guess that's town parked in front of the courthouse.
Yeah.
Sign on, that would be on the vehicle.
Be placed or posted.
Yeah, and that'd be on town property anyway.
yeah.
We only own to the sidewalk, is that right?
But there's a right-of-way through the sidewalk.
Well, maybe I'm making something out of nothing.
I think the comment earlier was about the comment of public and private. So someone could, if someone is doing this on their vehicle in the parking deck, and I think that was the example, then they've displayed that. Like, for example, somebody comes in with a bumper sticker or flag. They've done that before they got to county grounds. What we're really trying to prohibit is somebody bringing private stuff in here and staking it into the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think the wording,
Or dropping down their own private bleachers. I'm sorry.
does anybody have an objection if we add just a sentence that says that nothing here prohibits the holding of signs?
Make it more clear.
Yeah, because display, you know, I mean,
Where is that? Is this?
it's
Page 3, fifth paragraph.
100.03.
I've not found it yet. I read
Okay.
it. Let's see. Okay, yeah, that's why I was looking for a number.
Obviously, I mean, citizens have the right to have a sign if they want to have a sign, voicing their opinion on a matter.
Sure.
Okay, so you want to take out display.
Or
Second
put a sentence that says nothing shall prohibit the holding
I
of
think you
sign.
could do both. You could just say, you could take out display, and you could say, nothing herein shall prohibit the holding of a sign by an individual,
Yeah,
by person.
What about, and I'm good with that. What about on number 5, under 100.04, say you were hanging a sign and you're on private property, which would be your vehicle, and your vehicle is parked on county grounds in the parking deck. What if you have a sign advertising your business, or you're a realtor, or you're a construction worker, or, I mean, that technically, I mean, you'd be fastening a sign to your private property on county grounds, which would be your vehicle.
That's the parking deck, right? Could be.
That'd be the parking deck.
be Terminex.
Yeah, Terminex. People who do work here, I don't want,
Yeah.
I think
Plumbers,
just
if people have a sign on their vehicle, I want them to be able to leave it on their vehicle.
Just take private out, just delete the word private.
Just take it,
yeah, okay.
so if it's on their property, just not affixing it to public property, but if they put it on their property.
Okay. Any other observations or suggestions?
Now, and we talked, and somewhere in here, it doesn't prohibit one person or two people from talking all they want to, right?
No,
This is just,
no, it doesn't prohibit people from, a couple of people from having conversations.
or preaching, or, I mean, we don't
No.
want to do anything with free speech. Okay.
Anything else? Okay, then would entertain a motion that the county grounds use ordinance be approved as presented with the inclusion of the signs language that Chip provided.
Just, I would say, as revised by deleting the word displayed from the 4th paragraph from the bottom of section 100.03, in addition of the following language, nothing herein shall prohibit the holding of a sign by a person.
Okay,
And also by the deletion of the word private in the second line of paragraph 5 of section 100.04.
okay. All right, we entertain that motion with those changes as Chip articulated.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, we're to new business now, which is, first item is requesting approval of the Blue Ridge National Heritage contract with JB Media Group in the amount of $15,000 to be paid from a federal highway grant. Welcome
Hello,
again.
how are you?
I'm fine.
Good to see you all. This is the final contract of this project. And as you said, this is for $15,000 and gives us a short-term marketing opportunity to distribute these wonderful brochures that have been developed through the grant, and also to develop a social media campaign and provide enhancements to the website. So this project is in its ending phases. It will be done by the end of September, and we've just sailed through flying colors with our audit on this project. So we're really excited, and we want to thank the staff and Haywood County Commissioners for all your support.
Right. Okay, well, we're going to miss seeing you.
Yes, same here.
Okay. Kevin had to step out for a moment. We'll go ahead and move forward with consideration for approval of the contract in the amount of $15,000 as described.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And let the record reflect that Kevin did not vote because he was out of the room.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Johnny Glantz for approval of the towns of Maggie, Canton, and Lake Junaluska to have their annual fireworks displays.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning, sir.
Commissioners. We have the annual request for fireworks in the county, Lake Junaluska and the town of Maggie Valley for July 4th, and Canton for July 5th. And we do have all the ATF license, NCDOI license, insurance, and all that on file.
So everything's in order as it is every year?
Everything's in order.
Okay. All right. Would entertain then a motion that the request of Maggie, Canton, and Lake Junaluska for the fireworks displays be approved.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you,
Johnny. All right, the third item of new business is a request for approval of resolution of the County of Haywood, North Carolina, declaring surplus and authorizing for private sale a trailer no longer needed by emergency management. The request is that it be sold to Haywood Community College in a private sale for $3,000. Is there someone with the sheriff's office here?
I'll handle that one. The sheriff's office back there. Greg Shuping, the emergency management director, had requested that this be sold to the community college by private sale. They had 3 trailers that they were trying to sell that were older trailers and a little bit out of date and a little bit not quite the right size for what they needed to handle the emergency management. They were attempting to sell those to raise the funds to buy an appropriate size modern trailer that they can outfit.
All right. Any questions of Ira? Hearing none, then would entertain a motion that the resolution declaring surplus and authorizing for disposal by private sale the described trailer belonging to EMS for sale to Haywood Community College in the amount of $3,000. Entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the fourth item of new business is requesting approval of the Winthrop operating lease renewal and upgrading of some specific equipment, as will be described by Lori Tomlin.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm here to request your approval for renewal of an operating lease to upgrade some of our server equipment that has become dated. Having this lease renewal allows us to replace equipment, take the older, outdated equipment out, and install newer, updated equipment. Primarily, it's our disk storage that over the past 3 years, this lease, we initiated in 2013. So therefore, we're at the end of our 3-year lease. We'd like to renew that. We're going to renew our storage, send our old storage back, and install newer, updated equipment.
Okay. Any questions here? Okay, hearing none, then would entertain a motion that the Winthrop operating lease renewal and upgrade as described be approved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I just would note, I mean, for the public, that, you know, these IT expenses, they are expensive, but you can't do without it. I kind of wish I'd started out in that business, but anyway.
We've reached a point that it's mandatory that we have these kind of
And you
technology.
can't function if these things aren't working properly. You have people down, people not working, and you can't afford that.
Yep.
So,
Just a little bit of a comment there. In my business, if I go down, I'm out of business until they get me fixed and get me up and running, so.
I know this is my business and Kirk's business is searching records in the register of deeds. I rarely go to that office now, except to bring a document. I can do all my research online. But when you go online, you expect it to be working.
Yes,
So,
sir. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Next up is Sharon Woodrow, the library director, requesting approval to expend $11,516.64 for computer equipment and related. Sharon?
Good morning. Well, as you just stated, I'm here to request E-rate funds to be added to the library budget. We will be buying a computer switch for our Canton Library and some software, and then the rest of it will be put into materials.
Okay. Kirk, you had a comment?
no, this is something that's needed desperately at the Canton Library, hopefully to help with we have issues with phones down there, and does this go to the Wi-Fi too?
Yes.
Okay, they're having Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Apparently, the Canton Library, there's only so many ports, and without this, we can't. And all of the libraries are very well utilized to the extent that that people get cut off while they're using certain computers and the telephones because we only have so many ports. So hopefully, this will help that.
Absolutely.
Any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion that the $11,516.64 to be used for the purchase of a computer switch, software, and materials, specifically books, be approved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then Julie's up with a budget amendment to approve the prior motion.
We're just putting what you just approved into the budget. This is the $11,517 spread across the appropriate expenses. We don't budget these at the beginning of the year. We wait till Sharon has an idea of how much she's going to receive and what she needs it for. So this is putting it into the budget.
Okay. I noticed the item 6 didn't have the 64 cents on there. Will that be part of the budget
The amendment? budget does not have cents. We round for budgets.
Okay.
So it was left off on purpose.
All right, entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. All right, the next up is, you're not Sheriff Christopher, are you?
No, sir.
We have 3 requests from the Sheriff's Office for memorandums of understanding with other jurisdictions.
That is correct. Good morning, gentlemen. What we bring before you today is a request for approval for a memorandum of understanding, the first being with the Great Smoky Mountains National Park Service and the lands that are in Haywood County. This is a renewal. I believe it's on a 5-year rotation that allows them to assist us and us to assist them and work collaboratively together.
And this would serve to reduce liability concerns and so forth of the jurisdiction that occurs.
It is. It's a liability reduction from both our side and from the federal side as well.
And these MOUs are required by both federal government and state governments?
Yes, sir, they are.
You've reviewed all these MOUs, Chip?
Yes, I have looked at all of them, I certainly have.
Okay. All right, then entertain a motion that the memorandum of understanding between the Haywood County Sheriff's Office and the Department of the Interior National Park Service be approved. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And we'll continue one with Hendersonville. Good.
Yes, I bring before you the second of these as well, too. It's a memorandum of understanding and mutual aid agreement with the city of Hendersonville. This is a commonplace process when you're potentially working outside of your jurisdiction and outside of Haywood County. It's commonplace to have these memorandums of understanding and mutual aid agreements in place if we cross over jurisdictional lines. This particular one is for the Hendersonville Police Department.
Okay. Would entertain that the mutual aid agreement with the Hendersonville Police Department be approved.
So move.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Hey, I did have a question. When do we have shared mutual aid with them on what issues?
We have on several different issues over the years. A lot of it has to do with it. Some of it actually goes back to when there was a Governor's Highway Safety Grant, and we had 2 traffic officers that worked under the Governor's Crime Commission grant that had I-40 and I-26, and we worked collaboratively with Henderson County and Buncombe County and cross jurisdictional lines on a pretty regular basis.
I mean, our guys would go over there and patrol those roads?
If requested. No, not on special assignments type
Okay.
issues. You know, you have issues. Let's go back to 2004 when we had flooding issues here in Haywood County. We brought jurisdictions in from outside. It's always good to have these in place, pretty commonplace, and also it's very common when not with a sheriff's office. Sheriffs have a mutual aid agreement statewide, but when you're dealing with police departments and there's change of heads, such as police chiefs change, which is exactly the situation here with Hendersonville and the next one with Asheville, when those chiefs of police change, so changes the documentation as well.
How about traffic stops? Would they ask you to come over and help them at?
No, sir. It would only be in emergency special type situations such as, and one of the biggest that I always look back on is during the floods in 2004 when it was manpower issues and so forth, and it goes as far as the floods, Hurricanes Floyd and Ivan years ago, and when we sent on mutual aid requests from other sheriffs across the state, we sent to Pitt County and spent a total of 3 weeks. Portions of our agency did, just as they would do for us if needed as well.
Yeah, I didn't have any objection to it. It's just, usually you see contiguous counties and maybe continuous districts, and then I know that don't we use the Asheville's bomb squad on occasion as well? So I just was curious as to Henderson.
We do, and there's a lot of reason just for that is that we do. Even if it's a continuous process and there's some sort of criminal activity that starts here and ends there, obviously we're covered as well too because it's one continuous process, but it's always good to have that liability coverage when we move outside of the county lines.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion that the mutual assistance agreement with the Asheville Police Department be approved as well.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then the 10th item is approval of a resolution adopting a policy for the establishment of mutual assistance with other law enforcement agencies.
Yes, and the last item is that resolution for adopting the policy for mutual aid with other law enforcement agencies. And it says, whereas pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 160A-288, the governing body of a county may adopt appropriate guidelines for the purpose of mutual aid with other municipal and county law enforcement agencies. Whereas pursuant to said laws, law enforcement assistance to be rendered authorizes lending officers to work temporarily with officers of the requesting agencies, including in undercover capacities, and lending equipment and supplies. And whereas it's deemed to be in the best interest of the citizens of Haywood County to adopt reasonable policy and guidelines whereby reciprocal law enforcement assistance can be both rendered and obtained from other governmental jurisdictions, and whereas such reciprocal assistance is necessary for effective law enforcement for the protection of the citizens of Haywood County. So therefore, it be resolved by the Haywood County Board of Commissioners, the sheriff is hereby authorized to enter into mutual aid assistance agreements with other municipal and county law enforcement agencies with such reasonable arrangements, terms, and conditions as may be agreed upon between the respective heads of the law enforcement agencies, provided that the heads of the requesting law enforcement agency make such a request in writing. The sheriff is hereby authorized to permit officers of the Haywood County Sheriff's Office to work temporarily with officers of the requesting agency as deemed advisable. All such requests and authorization shall be in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 160A 288 as applicable, and while working with the requesting agency, an officer shall have the same jurisdiction, power, rights, privileges, and immunities as the officers of the requesting agency, in addition to those the officer normally possesses. And last, while on duty with the requesting agency, an officer shall be subject to the lawful operational commands of superior officers within that agency. The requesting agency, the officer shall for personnel and administrative purposes remain under control of the officer's own agency, which would be our command staff, including for the purposes of pay. An officer shall furthermore be entitled to workers' compensation and the same benefits to the extent as though they were functioning within the normal scope of their officer's duties.
Any questions of Jeff on that? Okay. I would entertain a motion that the resolution as presented and read be approved.
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Extend to the sheriff our appreciation. I know that in the past, some of these agreements had been allowed to lapse, which I think probably created a little bit of liability issues that thankfully didn't come back to haunt us, but appreciate your office making these things current.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good day.
Okay, next up is Stony Blevins with a request to approve hours of the dental clinic.
Good morning, gentlemen. Bring to you a request today to change the operation of our dental services from a 5-day-a-week, 8-hour-a-day clinic to a 4-day-a-week, 10-hour-a-day clinic. Our reasons for doing this are multiple. We've had a very difficult time keeping a Friday dentist. So we have one dentist who works Monday to Thursday, which is the industry standard for dentistry. And we have historically tried to contract for a dentist on Fridays. I've served you now for 18 months. I've been through 3 dentists, and we currently do not have one. So we want to offer the same number of hours to citizens, and we did, Patrick Johnson did a tremendous amount of research for us, and we've discovered that we are actually the only public or private clinic that we can find in Western North Carolina that is trying to operate 5 days a week. So we feel like it'll actually be better for the taxpayer because it'll cut our costs to run 4 days a week, not to have a second dentist. It also will be able to remain 40 hours to the citizen, and it allows us to offer services to more working citizens because we're going to open at 7 in the morning, work till 5:30 in the evening. So for lots of reasons, we feel like this is a better way to do business. We have taken this to the Health and Human Services Board, who unanimously recommended this change today.
And I know from sitting on that board that this has been a constant problem, both with finding a dentist to work 1 day a week, which is tough, and then the no-show rates on Fridays are higher than other days, so it will save money.
No-show on appointments?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Okay.
And I would support it as well. I don't think people realize, but I went to a CLE lately, and dentists actually passed lawyers in the highest rate of professional suicide. So, if we can give them Fridays off, I think we should. If that's what they want to do, is work Monday through Thursday.
Higher than commissioners even?
Higher than commissioners. I was just happy they passed us. We're still #1 alcoholics, though. Lawyers are.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, entertain a motion that the 5-day, 8-hour work week of the dental clinic be changed to a 4-day, 10-hour-a-day work week.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we move to the 12th item, request approval of philanthropic naming rights policy. Ira?
Yes, this is the philanthropic naming rights policy. The reason this is before you has to do with, it was brought up by 2 organizations that were mentioned today, the library and the Animal Services Project. And there are friends groups, and what the friends groups want to do is raise money and have the ability to have some recognition put up inside of county buildings. And so this is a naming rights policy to allow that. It talks about a variety of things that, for one thing, whatever capital campaigns that they'd come back and have to do where they were wanting to put those names in the buildings would have to have a plan separately approved, that the we wouldn't have controversial, take money from the controversial sources to have permanently embedded on your buildings, or in a naming board that donations could be refused, that the donations would have to be received before any naming rights would go up. 2/3 of a pledge would have to be received before any signage would be installed. That just because we gave out naming rights to your building doesn't mean they could direct any of the services within the building. That had become part of what happened in academic communities, but we're not going to allow that. It would still be a county government and controlled building. So this sets forth some broader parameters that people and guidelines that people could work within. It's before you today because there is a fundraiser that the Friends of the Animal Shelter wanted to do on June 16th. And they wanted to discuss this at their fundraiser, the ability for donors to have naming rights for that building if the building is, as we go forward when that's built. So,
Okay. It'd be something tasteful, like you see when you walk into the hospital, they have a plaque on the wall. That
yes, anybody who's been to the fitness center, when you walk into the hospital, we were just at, the reason we were out at the Pathway Centers, they were doing the dedication of their artwork for their naming board and had leaves on that board. And Dale is not in here. I will say that he donated so much in kind that, you know, he's on that plaque. That was one of the things. But yes, this is very common that if people donate a significant amount of money to a project, they want to be on a naming board or they want to have their name on a cage or a book.
Okay. Anyone have any objections?
I just want to mention that, you know, Kevin talked about some of the research he'd done and sent to us. Well, almost every one of those, if I'm not correct on that, had a private or non-profit group out there raising money for these particular things, and sometimes substantial. And then when we started this thing, or started looking at it about last February, you know, that was one of the intents, was to bring these people on board and try to get these designs so they could actually go out there and try to raise this money. And of course, we didn't really, I don't know that we might have got the cart before the horse on that, but anyway, now that's what's happening. And so I welcome as much input and as much monetary investment that we can get on this particular project.
And it's good too because, you know, we have more than one agency within the county that receives donations. Sheriff's Office receives donations occasionally. You know, so having a policy, I think, is a good idea. Any other comments? Okay, then would entertain a motion that the philanthropic naming rights policy as presented be approved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, Doyle Teague is next up. To talk about the capital campaign for the Animal Services Building.
Good morning, gentlemen. I have with me today Sarah Jane League, who is the representative from the Friends of the Animal Shelter. She happened to be able to come with us. Basically, what we are wanting to do, or the Friends is wanting to do, is to fall under the philanthropic naming rights policy with some fundraisers. Sarah Jane sent a letter that you all got that outlined what we put the prices on sponsoring certain rooms. I hope you all had a chance to look at that and look at the letter, and if you have any questions, just let us know.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate your considering of this and as we move forward with the animal shelter. As Mr. Swanger has said, and I agree with him, we are looking to the commissioners to help us build a shelter to fulfill a need. And the nonprofit group, the Friends, would like to be here to support that shelter in fulfilling and educating the public as to the need for that shelter, and also then to raise capital campaigns to help us outfit and equip the shelter as may be appropriate. And when we go to the donors, we can then say we appreciate your support and for substantial donations. And if you look at the list attached to the letter, it goes all the way from very expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars, down to people that contribute $50 or whatever, because we do believe everybody in the county who supports us can contribute and be recognized for making that a true county facility. And as built, we hope to make it a service then to the county to educate children and to have programs on animal care and services.
Okay. Any questions of either one?
Is this the proposed, the list of items with the plaque size, and it says $250,000 each? Does that mean the adoption lobby would cost $250,000?
No, it's,
What does that?
just means if there's more than one room, like there are 2 meet and greet rooms, each one of those would be $50,000.
Okay, but the adoption lobby, are you anticipating someone donate that money to construct, or is that what it is? Is it to, I mean, I guess I'm trying to figure out, is this part of what goes to the construction cost? Is that what you're anticipating, or is this over and above?
This would be, oh, go ahead.
It would be over and above, for instance, to buy the furniture, reception desk that goes into it, but not to facilitate the construction of the building itself. So if someone wished to purchase and make a donation to go toward the outfitting of the lobby area, we would take that donation in that area. This is just a suggested list. We realized we don't have the completed architectural plan yet, whereby we could then put, a potential detail list together. This is in general the things that we have seen, as Commissioner Sorrells said, out over if you look at the internet at other agencies and other shelters, what they do is advertise a specific laundry list of, if you wish to contribute this much, we will be able to recognize you based on our needs and what we see as the needs in the new animal services building.
This wouldn't, of course, preclude a citizen from making a donation for a specific purpose that's not on the list.
No, absolutely not.
Oh, so this means if you give $250,000, you can get a 12 by 12 plaque in the adoption lobby?
Yes.
Even more than that, if they give $250,000, as far as I'm concerned.
At least we'll give them a 12 by 12.
Well, I mean, I guess, and maybe I missed that, but this million plus or whatever y'all are trying to raise, this goes to actual construction and getting it ready to open, or is it just after the building's prepared to go? I mean, I never have understand it, because I think, my assumption was if it's a $3.2 million facility and y'all raise $1 million, then it wouldn't be but a couple $1 million or 2.2 for the county. But that's not what.
I don't think that's right.
No.
Now, what the Friends Board has said they would do with this money is to outfit and equip this facility above and beyond, and including some stuff that we need.
You had like a medical, 100,000 was for medical facilities, which we don't have to pay to put in there.
No, we've already received one $100,000 donation that was earmarked for medical items.
You've already received a what?
A $100,000 donation.
Okay.
But that was earmarked specifically for medical, which,
specifically for medical.
You would need anyway. So. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, then would entertain a motion. Why are they can hold a fundraiser if they want to. I guess we.
This is basically the reason that we do this in our policy, is so that people know that if they were to give that they would be subject to the policy, and you would be putting plaques on those buildings. This is county property where you're putting these plaques, and that's why we have to approve this.
Okay, understood.
And the only thing I would do is just, when you do this and raise this money, that it would be returned to them if these buildings aren't constructed.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I would say that Mr. Dove has invitations. The reason for the presentation today is on the 16th of June. We're having a reception at Wells Center, open to the public, to educate people and kick off our fundraising campaign for these items.
Okay. And
You're all invited. Please come.
And the time of that is?
5:30 to 7:30 on Thursday, June the 16th.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay, then would entertain a motion that we approve the naming rights capital campaign for the Animal Services Building and the proposed naming rights plan for said campaign. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Okay, at this point, that concludes our agenda. Would entertain a motion that we enter into closed session for the purpose of attorney-client privilege, 143-318.11A3, closed session minutes, 143-318.11A1, and personnel, 143-318.11A6. I'd also note that there, following adjournment, there will be a work session which will begin immediately thereafter. So I'd entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you. We have returned from closed session. One of the reasons for our closed session today was to review prior closed session minutes. So at this point, I would entertain a motion that the recommended actions for the minutes I will identify be approved. First, to approve and release November 16, 2015 Economic Development, March 7, 2016 closed session minutes review, and March 7, 2016 attorney-client privilege. So I'd entertain a motion that those minutes be approved and released.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. The following recommendation is for approval but not yet released minutes. March 7, 2016, attorney-client privilege. March 7, 2016, economic development. March 7, 2016, economic development. March 7, 2016, economic development and attorney-client privilege. March 7, 2016, attorney-client privilege. March 21st, 2016, attorney-client privilege. March 21st, 2016, attorney-client privilege. And March 21st, 2016, attorney-client privilege. Again, recommend approval but not release at this time. Entertain that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And the following is to approve but not release until a later determination is made. March 7, 2016, attorney-client privilege. March 21st, 2016, attorney-client privilege. Again, approve review further for release. Entertain that motion.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And for the record, economic development is General Statute 143-318.11A4. Closed session minutes are 143-318.11A1. Attorney-client privilege is 143-318.11A3. So, is there any additional business for the board? If not, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.